Hello my dear Aries, and welcome to your weekly card pull. My name is Alexa, I go by Alexa Be Alchemy, and today I'm doing a reading for you for the week of February 20th, 2023. Now this reading is for anyone who has an Aries placement in their natal chart, especially the Sun, Moon, Rising, or North Node. So my dear Aries, at the beginning of every single week, I like to start out by opening with a question, which is what guidance might be helpful for you, or what perspectives could be helpful in this upcoming week and navigating what might pop up. I pulled for you guys from my Sacred Creators Oracle deck. I felt like I wanted to do the pull before I jumped on the camera, and I actually think that was a good idea because I felt the need to reorganize the cards and kind of group them together. And there are three main groups that I pulled for you. So I'm just gonna kind of go in them in order and see what comes up. So the first group that I have for you guys is, I think, more directly answering the question of what things will be helpful for you guys, what perspectives or what advice even for this upcoming week. Now, three cards that came up for you. First one is Raw Intention. This is card number 22 if numerology is important for you, and this card is really about what your intentions are for what lies ahead, or for this upcoming week, this month, this year, this chapter, etc. Now, something that I do want to note before I move into any of the other cards, we did just have, or are having, depending on your time zone and when this is released, a new moon in Pisces. The sun is also in Pisces, so there's a lot of Piscean energy, which is it's the 12th sign of all of the zodiacs. It is a water sign, a lot of emotions, spirituality, etc. So there's definitely a spiritual and or emotional dreamy component that might be kind of floating around for some of you. The thing that I want to note about this is it was a new moon, and new moons are a really good time for intention setting and planting seeds. So there is a really, especially within, again, the field of Pisces, which is your emotions, intuition, etc. So my dear Aries, the first thing I want to encourage you guys to do is maybe take some time to set some intentions for what you want to experience or get out of your life on a micro and or a macro scale. I think for you it's going to be contingent on what feels good. For some of you, it's going to feel good to just do like one day at a time, 1 week at a time. For some of you, it's actually might feel good to take a step back and look at the bigger picture of your life. As I go through this reading, I think it will be more clear if it's not blatantly obvious for you, my dear Aries, which one. So yeah, first step for you guys, setting your intentions and knowing what your intentions are and making sure that your actions are aligned with those. Second thing for you guys is the encouragement to celebrate your wins. I feel like anytime this card comes up, there is a degree of you have overcome certain hurdles and you have overcome certain things in your life, and some people really struggle to take time out to genuinely celebrate where they are versus where they have been, especially if where they are right now isn't quite where they want to be. So my dears, I would encourage you to, even if you're not where you want to be, celebrate where you are in this time and in this chapter. I also pulled for you guys in reverse, and in reverse means it's basically upside down. With this particular deck, anytime a card is pulled in reverse, there's a little bit more of a self-care message. Some things might be imbalanced. So in the upright, the card looks like this, and the main message is that magic happens when you most expect it. Now, this goes against a lot of beliefs, so I will not force my beliefs or the beliefs of these cards down your throat, but the encouragement for this card, whether or not you believe with this statement, because I pulled it in reverse, some of you may have resistance to this statement actually, but the encouragement with this card is to allow yourself, especially when it comes to the intention setting, I think these two are related, allow yourself to trust that it will yield positive results. Even if things don't go according to plan or the way that you want, you still win something. If you don't succeed, then you learn, you know, and to me, those are both successes. You can, of course, reframe it and say, I failed, or I don't learn, or whatever. That's up to you. But ultimately, I think the purpose of celebrating your wins and whatnot is for you to create that space, my dear Aries, for you to see that when you set intentions and you follow through with them, something is successful, even if, again, it's not in the way that you expected it to turn out. So I do believe that some of you, because this card again was in reverse, there might be a little bit of resistance to this project, if you will, of creating your intentions and honoring where you are now. And also, I feel like for some of you, maybe just honoring intentions you have set in the past. Have you fulfilled those? I feel like some of you have, and you haven't really taken the time to acknowledge it and be like, yes, I have, check that off the list. And in doing that and kind of celebrating that and honoring that space and maybe even closing that space, you open the door for something else. So again, because it was new moon in Pisces, you have a lot of opportunities to open new doors and plant new seeds. So my dears, The next card pile that I pulled, the first one I want to bring up is Cozy Up with Risk. I did pull this in reverse. Some of you, I feel like, are taking no risks. Going back to the first deck, I feel like some of you are not taking risks because you're afraid you're gonna fail, so it's stopping you in your tracks. And you're in Aries, all right? Aries energy is innovative. Aries energy is like, it's the beginning of the cycle. Like Pisces is the end, Aries is the beginning. So you are starting new things, starting new chapters. You have this, and I feel like especially birthing yourself out of this Piscean energy, like I feel like, I mean, we're coming up on your birthday, we're coming into your natural season. So there is this level of like innovation and a willingness to experiment, and also willingness to quote unquote fail, which again, you can reframe it as learning, etc. But I do feel like some of you are resisting that, or you're taking way too many risks and you're not paying attention to the red flags or to the signs. Again, this is red. I don't know why that seems important. I feel like some of you are actually seeing red flags and you're not paying attention to them. So being willing to look at all those different components of your experience. Now, my dears, okay, so moving back into the first theme that I had for you, ambush fear with your ferocious dreams. I feel like, I think this is the theme for you. I feel like a lot of you, again, you have these fears of failure or fears of certain things going in a certain way, and it's causing you to stunt your growth or to like hide from your ambitions or hide from your dreams. And the encouragement is that you do not have to do that. The encouragement for you, my dear Aries, is that you actually can get rid of that fear by increasing your belief in yourself, which I feel is why celebrating your wins and creating a space for you to acknowledge that when you follow through on your intentions, when you follow through on things, you do get things accomplished, even if it's not exactly the way that you thought it might be. You're still doing things that sounds way too generalized, but okay, I feel like you have some dreams that you are just like, fear is the only thing standing in the way, and you have the opportunity right now to override that fear by saying, this is something that I want. A lot of the times we are given dreams, hopes, aspirations, etc., not to taunt us and to tease us and to say like, oh, dangle it, like look at what you can't get. It's more a matter of like, you have certain dreams because you have potential to create those things in your life, and they may not happen right away or on the timeline that you want or when you want, but you have that. You wouldn't have those desires or those ambitions if you didn't have certain things within you to help make those happen. Now, I will preface this or disclaimer this by saying that, again, the form in which these things take place may have a little bit of variance. So you may say like, oh, I really want to be a professional athlete, and maybe that is not on the cards for you right now. But what's at the root of that? And I think identifying what's at the root of your dreams and why do you have those dreams. Maybe for you, it's like, I want to work hard at something and I want to practice something, like I want to master a craft. And maybe that can translate to a different area of your life. And so the things that you want, and I'm not saying you need to abolish those dreams or not believe that the form is possible, but if you feel like you're stuck on the form, you're like, it hasn't happened yet, why hasn't it happened? Maybe just taking the step back to acknowledge the ways that those dreams can, the deeper meaning of those dreams, the deeper dream that you have can still manifest in a multitude of ways. And actually, it could probably be way more than one way. So if you are blocking yourself just by one, you have a lot of options ahead of you. Now, I pulled in reverse, lead your metamorphosis, and in upright, you are living poetry. Both of these cards to me are kind of implications that there are some gifts that you have that actually facilitate your own growth. That some of you, maybe they're unrealized gifts, and I feel like the celebrate your wins card and lead your metamorphosis, I feel like these two actually kind of have a lot of similar themes for me, for you guys, of like allowing yourself to lead yourself. I feel like some of you, maybe, my dear Aries, you've been relying on other people or other people's advice to kind of steer you, and I don't feel that that's necessary. For some of you, I feel like you have some ambitions, especially in the way of money, inflow with money I pulled in reverse. And so maybe for some of you, the feeling of, oh, I can't reach my dream is coming out in the form of, I can't make the money that I wanted to make. But why do you want that money? What do you actually want out of that? Maybe you want to feel or experience abundance or safety or security or the ability to provide for a family. And so my encouragement for you would be to take a step back and acknowledge the ways that you can provide that aren't necessarily monetary, or that you can provide monetarily, it just may not be in the exact amount that you want right now, but that doesn't mean that it's not possible. In fact, it's very possible, and any limitations that you are feeling are yielding information for you about how you can move forward, or what you can shift, or what you can change to create those ideal outcomes. With this card in reverse, it also tells me that some of you may be stingy with money, or having some challenges with your relationship to money because of the new moon in Pisces. There may be some family thoughts or narratives that you have inherited about money that just don't really serve you. So I would encourage you to also pay attention to your relationship to energy, currency, money, however you want to phrase it, and to get grounded. Stop, drop, and ground, and finally fill your cup with sacred giggles. All of these were pulled in reverse, so in the upright they look as such. I think there may be, or may have been, some resistance to these for you guys, but in general, primary advice for you, my dear Aries, ground yourself. Ground yourself in knowing that, like, the dreams that you have, the aspirations that you have, again, new moon in Pisces, it's very dreamy energy. I feel like a lot of you are going to be looking at your bigger, longer term dreams, and Aries, again, being this like passionate, like ready to start, ready to go kind of an energy, there may be a level of impatience with that. That is the shadow side of Aries energy, is a level of like impatience and a need to get things going and get things started and go, 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 burn, burn, burn. And in order to balance that out for this upcoming week, the advice that is now coming through very strongly for you guys is to ground into your space, your body. A way to do that is through laughter, through enjoyment. You don't have to have everything accomplished all at once. For some people, that feels like a death sentence, that it can't all be accomplished at once, but it's actually, if you want to take it this way and look at it this way, it's actually very freeing, because that means that you don't have to have it all figured out immediately, and you have time to put things into play to create this ideal future that you have been dreaming of. So again, kind of wrapping this up, my dear Aries, set your intentions and celebrate the things that you have done. Celebrate the way that you experience life in the more positive regards, and the things that don't feel so positive or so fulfilling for you. Acknowledge the ways that maybe you can shift your actions or change your actions to reflect those. Now, I want to pull from my Sacred Creators deck for a little bit of final clarity, because I do feel like there are a lot of messages that came through with that one. And I did pull Euclase for you just now. So this card is about your wisdom from within yourself. So there's definitely attunement to yourself and your own experiences, aligning with like the lessons that you have learned as a result of your own experience. Again, going back to the celebrate your wins, like I feel like some of you, these cards seem kind of related. I feel like some of you are not really honoring or acknowledging the things that you have learned, and so it's making you afraid to do more that will maybe your narrative is, oh, if I do this, I'm going to make a mistake. But because you're not acknowledging your mistakes as learning opportunities, or acknowledging the things that you've learned as a result of mistakes, it's kind of maybe causing you to have a little bit of blockages. So next card I pulled, Crystal Clear Quartz. Whatever you focus on will persist or will amplify. So if you're constantly focusing on your failures and seeing them as failures, and you're not focusing on your gifts or the things that you have learned, or seeing them as learning opportunities, then that's going to continue to be reflected back to you. But if you want to see yourself as successful, if you want to see your life and your experience as, I want to say profitable, like fulfilling, fruitful, pay attention to what you're paying attention to. And finally, for you guys, I actually had a few cards fly out here, but I really kind of just feel like I want to wrap it up with one of them. And that is the card of Spirit Quartz. So connection to your community, connection to other people, connection to, and these all kind of tie in together, but like, I think for you, your willingness to allow yourself to change, allow the situations to change, allow life to change, and your willingness to celebrate what you learn along the way. My dear Aries, I feel like that celebration of yourself and whatnot will actually more deeply connect you to your community, because of ultimately what you're looking for to be fulfilled. And again, some of you I think are, because of the inflow with money card, I feel like some of you might be focusing a little bit too much on materiality of things and not focusing enough on your connections. So, but your connections are what are going to be fulfilling for you. So, end of the day, what are the things that you want to feel out of your life? What are the dreams and aspirations that you have? Especially in terms of how you want to feel and how you want to show up, and what are the ways that you can reframe your narrative about your life, your choices, your past, etc., so that they complement those dreams and encourage you to keep moving along those paths, because my dear Aries, you are a fire starter. You have all the things you need to make that happen. So, okay, feeling called to close out. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, please make sure that you subscribe to my channel. If you found this helpful, feel free to leave a comment or even just like drop a little thumbs up so that I know it resonated. I do these readings every single week free of charge. If you ever want to leave a donation, you're welcome to. And if you ever want a little bit more clarity or have questions, please feel free to reach out to me. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, here on YouTube, everywhere at alexab.alchemy. Yeah, I do segments on TikTok every week about astrology as well. So if you want to do a little bit more of a deep dive about the new moon in Pisces or anything else, feel free to go check me out there. All right. I love you guys so much. Thank you for being here, and I will see you next week. Bye.